The next category is, and the last category, is folding knives, regular folding knives. I didn't include like a real spring assist knife. I think that they're terrible, especially for self-defense. I would never get one. I've had them in the past, but the first knife that I'm going to show in the regular folding knives, it's kind of a category all its own. I don't even know what to call it, but it's a morphing karambit. Mine is a knockoff of the Crkt provoke. The Crkt provoke is one of the most brilliantly the next couple knives are my favorites and my personal, what I would suggest for self-defense, especially in law enforcement. The Crkt provoke is brilliant. Whoever designed this, and I don't know the backstories of all these, but whoever designed it is just super smart. So this is the Crkt provoke. This is a knockoff of the real thing, but the real thing is same concept. So it's a karambit style. Karambit style means that it's got this hooked blade. It's almost like an animal talon. It's not fixed, which it's not a straight blade, which means you can't stab with a karambit. But the slashes, instead of a straight blade slashing across, a karambit gets in there, and when you slash with a karambit, it's such a devastating blow. It makes a really useful self-defense knife. This knife, first of all, I like this knife because it's cool. It's like an adult fidget spinner. So you hold it like that, and you use your thumb to press on the back of this, and it pops that blade right out. I like it. First of all, the first thing that I noticed when I first got this and picked it up was if I'm walking through a parking lot at night as a civilian, it's not. It really does. I carry this in my hand and no one would know that it's really there. It's inconspicuous. When it's closed, it has this finger loop that's nice and bulky. You could punch with this and use this as like kind of a brass knuckle type of effect, and then pop it out if you need it. This was a knife that again was created with law enforcement and military in mind. A lot of military and law enforcement love this knife and carry it. First of all, look at how thin it is. This knife is, I've never had a knife this thin. I mean, it's half the size of my cell phone. And it's light, it's pretty light too. So, and you can see, I'll show you up close how it's a karambit blade that's basically attached to the handle with these two arms that open up that way. And then the lock is back here, it locks once it's open. And then it has a pocket clip. Here's the two cool things about this knife. Between the thinness of it and how easy it is to carry. But here's what blew my mind when I really started messing around with this knife. So you clip it, I don't like this silver clip, but whatever. You clip it in your pocket, right? When you open it, you pull back a little bit as you're opening it. And what happens is, the blade is open before, literally, the knife is open and ready to go while it's still in your pocket. So here's a good demonstration of it. Here's the quick version. And that's where I fell in love with this knife, and I said, oh my goodness, this is one of the best defense knives out there. Because it's so easy to carry, it's so concealable, and it's fast. I don't know of any other knife that I could draw this fast. So if you're walking, if you're whatever, it's the kind of knife that you can keep your thumb behind it and your hand over it like this. Like say you were in law enforcement and you were standing there with your hand kind of on your pocket. No one would even know that knife is there, and if you need it, it's ready to go. That's the Crkt provoke, the morphing karambit. It's super unique. There's nothing you can punch with it. You've got devastating slashes. It's super unique. I can't say enough nice things about this knife, and it's just very concealable. So I even found that wearing cargos, the way that the cargo pockets are, I like this better. I think it works better with jeans, but I found that with cargos and even jeans, the way that the cargo pocket is, you could put and how thin it is, you can drop this completely in a cargo pocket and it disappears. And you can still, if you practice with it, you can still get it to catch and pull it straight out of your pocket. Even with a pair of jeans, I sometimes will put it in my back pocket. Completely, I don't clip it on, completely disappears in my back pocket. And if I needed it quickly, you can still draw it from the pocket. It's a little more difficult, but if you practice with it, you can get it to draw. Even this one, I don't know if the real CRKT does this, but this one, you can kind of snap it out like that as well. So I highly recommend. This is like one of my favorite knives, and I would say the next three knives are my top three for law enforcement and self-defense. This is just between how thin it is, how cool it is, how quick it is. I don't feel like there's a much better blade out there for defense. These three are my top three, and I'd say this is probably number 2 on my list. And the next one is another CRKT. That was CRKT Provoke. This is a CRKT M16. I think from what I understand, it is their best-selling knife. There's so many different variations. I mean, if you want a different color, they have spear point blade. I mean, there's so many different options to this knife. They have smaller ones, but this is like the super classic, one of CRKT's best-selling knives. Again, this is another military knife. This was carried a lot by a lot of guys deployed in Afghanistan. It's a big, beefy knife. There's absolutely nothing. This is not the knife that I would take to a wedding. This is a beefy, tactical kind of knife. I mean, it's got a rough finish on it. You get a good grip. You've got these. Some people may not like this because it's a little bulky, but it's got both of these. It's like a full, hand guard, and it's got a big 4-inch. I think it's technically 3.99-inch blade, but it's a big 4-inch blade, and it's pretty wide. So it's a pretty hardy blade. And it's also got this unique feature. If you're going to carry a folding knife, any folding knife for self-defense, I would say don't buy one. Like, I honestly, that's at this point my rule. Don't buy one if it doesn't have this little pocket, I don't know what to call it, like a pocket nub. And what that does is, when you pull this out of your pocket, you'll catch that on your pocket and open it. So to demonstrate that, and this one's I'm a little out of practice on this, the clip is a little tight, but when you pull that out of your pocket, it's ready to go. And that's why I think that's the most brilliant design for a defensive pocket knife. It's just, to me, this is the kind of knife that, this CRKT M16 to me is the kind of knife that it'll do it all. This is the knife that, it's a phenomenal defense knife between the quick access and the fact that it's a nice big beefy 4-inch blade. It's got these brilliant serrations on it that I won't go into the whole backstory on that, but the serrations are pretty brilliantly designed. They're much better than a traditional serration. This is the knife that'll do it all. It's a great defense knife. It's a great everyday utility, cutting anything that you need to cut. Those serrations make it super easy to cut through rope and stuff like that. And it's also, I would, if this is the only knife that I got lost in the middle of the woods and I had to do some heavier tasks with this, I would feel fairly confident with it. It's pretty good size, and it'll hold up to a lot of dirt and dust and a lot of stuff. The other thing is the clip. If you look at the clip and you can see the holes that are drilled out for up here for the clip, you can switch the pocket clip to that side. You can put it this way and you can put it this way. What that allows you to do is you can carry this knife left-handed or right-handed. You can carry it tip up or tip down, which just means you can either carry it so that you put it in your pocket this way or so that you put it in your pocket that way. I prefer, that's called tip up. I prefer tip up, and if you carry it tip up, then that's what enables you to use that pocket stud, whatever you want to call it. So again, I think to me this would probably be my top suggestion for somebody who, this is the knife that I recommend for anybody who is looking for the knife that I want one knife that's a great self-defense knife, a great everyday, a great, if I get lost in the woods, it'll do the job. I think it's great. I think this is probably one of the best designed blades I've ever seen. I only have two very minor complaints with this knife. The clip is, I've never seen a clip this tight. I mean, it's almost a disadvantage because I feel like it really tears my pocket up putting it like in and out. And I almost feel like it can create a little bit of a fumble when you pull it out because it's so tight that clip almost doesn't want to let go of the pocket. But it's not a big deal. You just got to practice with it. And the other one, not a big deal, but it's got a traditional liner lock where you push the lock in to close the blade. But if you see this little, it's like a safety, it's a double safety. You see this little red tab, you actually have to pull this tab back and hold it. And you can't push in the liner lock until you hold that tab back, and then you can close it. So in a way, it's a little inconvenient, and in a way, it's not quite, you almost have to use two hands to close it, which is annoying. I mean, I pull it back, push it in, and then I just kind of, drop the blade in like that and put it back. But it's minor stuff. So I highly recommend the Crkt M16. To me, it's the knife it's one of the few knives that will do all three categories. And then finally, the last knife that I have is a Cold Steel Luzon. Cold Steel is the only brand in America that makes XL knives, extra large knives. And I'm super excited to talk about this one. I kind of saved the best for last. This is my personal, I carry this every day. This is my EDC. It's my favorite knife in my collection. I'm hoping to pick up a few more Cold Steel extra large knives. Again, if you want a knife this size, they're the only one that makes it. So I'll just go ahead and show you. I can't even, I gotta hold it further back because it doesn't even all fit in the frame. It's a huge knife. I mean, I have fairly decently large hands, and you see how big it is. I mean, it's a huge, monstrous knife. It is a 6-inch blade. I mean, again, this was the SOG Instinct that I showed earlier in the video. I mean, it is a monster blade. So what I'm excited to talk about is the fact that there's going to be some people that are going to see that and say, what the hell, you don't need a knife that big. Like, why, that's just ridiculous. And I thought the same thing when I first saw this knife. I was like, that's ridiculous. No, why do I need a knife that big? Then I started really getting into it and realizing that honestly, if you can comfortably carry a knife this big, you should. And there's quite a few reasons. So, first of all, with an extra large knife, it's because of its size, it creates clear advantages in all three of those categories. It's great for everyday use, great for self-defense, and this is the kind of knife that if I get lost in the woods and this is the only knife that I have on me, I'm going to feel pretty confident, I mean, if I had to go up against a bear, this is about the only pocket knife that I'd want to do it with. I mean, if I go up against a bear, I really want my Bowie, but this is like a pocket Bowie just about. It actually kind of reminiscent of a K-bar to me, K-bar marine knife. But the thing with a extra large knife like this is, in terms of self-defense, there's a couple clear advantages. And the first one is it's the clear. It's the intimidation factor is what it is. If somebody comes up to me with a knife like this and says, "Give me everything you have," even a OTF like this, and I pull this out, I'm pretty confident that the average mugger or thug or whatever is going to think twice when you pull this out. And they pull a little knife like that. Knives are getting smaller and smaller. I don't know why at some point it became like the thing to just like 3 inches is like the biggest blade that you can get. with a 6-inch blade, it gives me clear confidence in two regards. It gives me the confidence that this knife will, if I have to fight someone, which I'm not planning on getting into a knife fight, but if I did, you know, this is a blatant advantage. First of all, just in terms of the physics of leverage, you're going to have more leverage with a blade like this. The second thing is when you strike with a, generally when you strike with a, you know, let's say you have a 2 or 3 inch blade, you strike with a 2-inch blade, you don't have a lot of reach, and you're lucky to get about a 1/2 inch on, and you know, you'll cut someone, but you might just piss them off. When you have a 6-inch blade, you have more reach, and you're gonna get, like, if you have 6 inches, you're gonna get about 3 inches onto the target. Whereas if you have a 3-inch blade, which seems to be what most knives are today, you're lucky if you get an inch on the target. The other thing with this, you not only do you have more reach, but look at this. If I had to go to stab, look at where, you know, the Benchmade, the little 2-inch blade, that blade is ending where this blade is beginning. So look at how much reach you have. I mean, you have like 10 inches, 13 inches of reach there versus, you know, a little blade. So I know people are, why do you need a knife that big? There's some pretty clear advantages. I mean, you have so much more reach. I mean, it's stuff that can really make a huge difference if, God forbid, you really needed this knife. The other thing, you know, with utility and survival, it gives me confidence in the fact that I don't feel that there's any situation on earth that I would need a knife for that a knife this size wouldn't handle, whether it's defense, fighting a bear in the woods, you know, whatever it is. I just feel very confident carrying it. It's even, if you look at it closed, it's so long, just the handle. I realized one day you could even use this you could use just the handle itself with the knife closed as a weapon. One of the really unique things too about this knife, it's got those studs. It's got a liner lock with this extra lock that you push up, and then it locks the liner lock even further, so it gives you some confidence in making it a really tough and strong knife. It's got a plastic pocket clip, which I kind of have mixed feelings on. I work around cars a lot sometimes, and it's great if you brush up against something. You know, it doesn't even fully look like a pocket knife in your pocket sometimes. As big as this knife is, it fits perfectly fine in my pocket. And then you've got those, I feel like the plastic clip tears up my pocket a little bit. It's been kind of chewing away at the threads. And then you've got the quick access. And that's why I love this knife, because look at how fast, I have this giant 6-inch blade knife, and look at how fast and effortless that is. Again, you can be standing here kind of with your hand on the top of it, and when you open it naturally too, look at where your hand is. You're all the way on the back of the handle. You have so much reach. That reach alone is such a huge advantage to me. So the only drawback I've gone through all the advantages, the only drawback of a blade this size really is, the big one is the weight. It's this, I think this is like 9 ounces, 10 ounces, right around there, 9, 10 ounces. I mean, it weighs as much as some pocket pistols do, really. If you're law enforcement, there's law enforcement that carry these and love them. I can understand if you're law enforcement, you're like, I got enough weight on my belt, you know, I don't need any more, I want a really light knife, that's fine. As a civilian, I mean, I can tell you, I wear it every single day. I EDC this and just clip it on my pocket. It doesn't bother me. I still put cash in my pocket. I still put my hand in my pocket. It really doesn't bother me. It rubs a little bit, you know, on the back of my hand. It is kind of thick. It's a fairly thick, heavy, hefty blade. So, you know, that's really what you got. And some people just might not be comfortable carrying a knife this big. That's stuff that you got to decide for yourself. But outside of the weight maybe being an issue, which I don't even really think it is an issue, but I can understand that. To me, this is, you know, this is the best. This is what I carry every day. If the weight is an issue, look up the Cold Steel, same brand. The tie light is same size as this, 6-inch blade. It's basically a 6-inch blade stiletto that's made really tough, and I think that one weighs a little bit less. It's a little bit skinnier, so that one is a pretty light carry. These go for $40. I think I bought this $45. The tie light is $50, $60. The Cold Steel that I really want is the Cold Steel Espada large. It's about the same size as this. That one's about $100. It's probably going to be your best quality there if you really want a really quality one. And this Luzon, they also make it in a smaller. It's a good size, 4-inch, good 4-inch blade, but it's this. The smaller version of that knife is actually so small. I mean, I don't even use the pocket clip. I actually keep it right in my pocket. And it's also got the little pocket nub, the pocket to pop it open. And just to show you kind of in slow motion how that works too, when you pull that out, it's catching that nub and it's open. So by the time it's out of your pocket, it's open. And again, just to show you how quick that is, it's really a huge advantage if you're, you know, a law enforcement officer. You need very quick access to that. So my top 3 are the Crkt Provoke, the Crkt M16. I think that's probably the best well-rounded, and the Cold Steel Luzon, or any of the Cold Steel extra large and large knives. It doesn't have to be this one. This is the one that I have. So clear advantages. Those are my choices. The best, you know, easiest to carry, quickest to draw, best self-defense knife to me is going to be the Crkt Provoke. The best overall, well-rounded, affordable. You know, I know the real Crkt Provoke is like $200. The Crkt M16 is the best overall. Everything that you could possibly need a knife for, and they're about $50. And then, if you like the clear advantage and confidence of the extra large knives, I'd go with any of the Cold Steel large and extra large knives. Another one that I didn't mention too, or that I wanted to mention earlier, was you know, simple neck knives. A neck knife is a knife that's very light, that you can wear around your neck as a necklace. I have this on a piece of suede cord, and a neck knife totally disappears behind a t-shirt. Even a button shirt, you can wear it, and you just gotta kind of undo a button and it pulls right out. They're really good for civilians, especially people that, like myself, who used to live in a state where I couldn't really show that I had a knife. They totally disappear behind clothing. They're a great place to hide a secondary knife. I highly recommend the neck knives. The SOG Instinct you can wear as a neck knife. Great for civilians. I do not recommend for a law enforcement officer. It can be uncomfortable, and it's just not quick enough access. When you're law enforcement, for any defense knife, but especially your primary defense knife as a law enforcement officer, I don't advise buying anything that doesn't have that ability to kind of hook on your pocket and just open quickly. So I do not. Neck knives are great as a secondary knife for a civilian. I don't recommend it for law enforcement at all. And that's it for today. Those are my top knives that I recommend for self-defense knives. A little bonus, if you're looking for a tactical flashlight, my favorite tactical flashlight is made by Anchor. It's in the Boulder series, and it's rechargeable with a cell phone charger, and it's super bright, it's also, you can either recharge it with a cell phone charger, or you can run it on 2 AAA batteries, and it's literally the size of a pen. I mean, you can put it right in your pocket, right in a shirt pocket, and it's great to use, you know, in tandem with a firearm, or it's just a great little tactical light. So I just want to throw that in there as a bonus. When I was looking for a flashlight for everyday carry, I really wanted one that was super thin and something that I could not even notice it was in my pocket. So Yeah, so again, those are my choices, and I hope you found the video educational. What I look for in a self-defense knife and what I have found over the years are the best options that have some pretty unique advantages. So that's all I got for today, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I appreciate it.